Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around, I've got a movie haul, and I'm going to tell you what I did yesterday. I went to the pop-up market at the Astor Cinema in St Kilda yesterday, which was great. I had a great time there. I did a lot of good things, but there were some complicating factors getting there. I was using public transport, and I live in the west of Melbourne, and the Astor is kind of in the east. There was a complicating factor because it was the same day as the qualifying trials of the Melbourne Grand Prix. So the city was rammed, there were traffic problems, there were all sorts of issues. Plus, it was 35 degrees centigrade, which, in case you don't speak centigrade, means that it was bloody hot. And it was also humid, which increases that. It was a rough day. Today, 20 degrees colder and rainy. And so we've got kind of soggy dampness and coldness here. Melbourne changes a lot. But anyway, went to the Astor. Pop-up market was there. There were a lot of stores, a lot of people. There were people who you might know from various essays in Umbrella Entertainment and imprint films releases. I hung out with John Harrison, who's currently writing a book about Kiss, which is finished. He's now in the editing stages of that. I hung out with Julian and his girlfriend Helene from Collector Creations YouTube channel, and I bought a couple of things off him. I also went down and saw the Umbrella store and got to meet Ben, the marketing guy from Umbrella, with whom I've been dealing for a couple of years but never met. And it was great meeting him. I mean, we kind of said hi and things like that. I thanked him for the generosity that Umbrella Entertainment had shown this channel. And he said, "We love your stuff. We love what you do." So I got a lot of good feedback there, and I'm very happy with that. That was wonderful to receive that feedback. And there's some upcoming Umbrella releases that are mind-blowingly good. Like really next tier Australian film, mind-blowingly good. And also I got to hang out with Nadine Whitney, who does essays as well for Umbrella and imprint releases. I think she does imprint as well. And Nadine and I have been Facebook friends and been kind of messaging for ages and had never met. So we sat down and just shot the shit, high bandwidth, talking about movies and talking about the stuff that we got at the market for about 40 minutes. It was really great fun. Caught up with a whole bunch of new people. Networked like I don't tend to do, because what I do on YouTube tends to be a solitary vice. But great day. Moved me forward in my idea of myself as a movie reviewer and a movie critic. And also I picked up 11 cool things at the market for not very much. Lovely thing is that there were some bargains there. It wasn't just people selling off things at a premium price. There were bargains there. And so between hydrating and doing all the other things that I did, I got some movies. I'm on a Troma kick at the moment, as you might know from that video I did with the 2 Troma movies. And I got this one for $10. It's, is this an Umbrella release? Who released this one? It doesn't say, it just says Troma. No, it doesn't have any branding on it, which is a bit odd. Not a great Troma movie, but then most movies that Troma does aren't fantastic. I got Troma's War, which is a war film that Troma did. Lots of gore and guts and humor. A lot of fun. I've seen it before on VHS, but I'd never actually got the Blu-ray. And picking up the Blu-ray for $10 was a good deal for me. And you got to remember, that's 10 Australian dollars, so it's like 35 cents American. And I've also got to go and let Luna out back in a sec. Back again. So I picked up that. I picked up Troma's War. Then I picked up Paul Schrader's Cat People in a Cinema Cult Blu-ray release. Cinema Cult's not known for the quality of its Blu-ray releases, but it's an upgrade from the DVD copy that I had. So I picked up that. It's an incredibly bare bones release of it. And of course, I prefer the original Cat People to the Paul Schrader one, though the Paul Schrader one does have a certain grindhouse aesthetic that I kind of like. And I follow Paul Schrader on Facebook, where he rails against the modern cinema a lot. But yeah, that one worth having in the collection, though it's not a premium release. It's not a Criterion. It's not anything like that. It's just the movie itself. And essentially, one of the things I'm been evolving into is I love having all the extras in various releases. But if I can get the movie itself cheaply and I'm not invested in getting a premium release of it, I'm content with that. it doesn't make a lot of difference to me because I come back to the fact that I'm a collector of movies much more than I'm a collector of editions. I don't go steal books. I like having some things on 4K and I get them where I can and the budget allows, but I'm not really invested on being a 4K collector or a premium edition collector or a Criterion collector or a Severin or anybody else. I'm just at a certain level. I'm very happy to have the movie. This one I bought from Julian because he had it for sale. 1980s action films. And that leads into the movie that we actually saw at the Astor after the market closed, because I got a deal where I got into the market for free and didn't pay the $5 cover charge because I bought a ticket to see the movie afterwards. So 1980s action cinema was the theme of the day in some ways. I got Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Totally over the top, crazy, infinite bullet glitch kind of action film from the 1980s. I didn't have a copy of this. I've got a number of other Schwarzenegger movies, but I didn't have this one. And this one has a few extras, not a lot, but it has a few. And I'm inclined to, next time I need to have a meathead action film in front of my eyeballs, to watch Commando. And I'll do that. And $10, still a good deal, probably about the right money for it. Then I picked up another one from Julian, which I know nothing about apart from the fact it's got 2 stars in it. And he was selling it because he picked up a box set of Marlene Dietrich movies. This is a thing called Seven Sinners with Marlene Dietrich, John Wayne, Albert Decker, Broderick Crawford, Misha Auer, Billy Gilbert, Oscar Homolka, Reginald Denny, directed by Tay Garnett. Don't know anything about it. Early John Wayne film before he went up himself. There's the back of it, wonderful black and white. Don't know anything about it, but at that price on a Blu-ray, I'm going to take a risk on it. And I always liked Marlene Dietrich movies anyway. So I picked up a copy of Seven Sinners. And this is part of the theme for the rest of these movies that I picked up. There are some obscurities here that I picked up incredibly cheaply at the market. Next one's a modern film, which I paid $10 for again. An Ari Aster film, Beau is Afraid, with Joaquin Phoenix. I hear that this is a very depressing movie, but that's kind of okay with me. It doesn't have a lot of special features in it, this edition. But it's a recent one I was kind of inclined to watch anyway. I was looking around for a copy of it. I think it's on streaming services at the moment. For $10, I thought, Beau is Afraid, I'll pick it up for $10. If I went down to JB and got it, it'd probably cost me $20 or $30. I will watch it at some stage. Does it say who else is in this? Hang on. Nathan Lane's in it. I didn't know Nathan Lane was in it. Amy Ryan, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Parker Posey's in there too, and Patty LuPone. Yep, haven't seen it, but I will watch it. So it was a good buy. Then I went over to the Cinemaniacs desk because Cinemaniacs runs the market and the movie showings once a month. Bunch of film fanatics. There's always a talk before the movie that they show. It's got a cult following. There's just a whole bunch of mad movie buffs that go to this thing. Roughly once a month throughout the year. And Cinemaniacs was selling off the movie collection of Lee Gambon, the founder of Cinemaniacs, who unfortunately died last year. And they're selling off a lot of his movies. And they had a deal for his DVDs. 3 for $10. There was a lot of prosaic stuff in there, but I waded through the boxes and I found some interesting things for $3.33 per movie. This one is actually a Kino Lorber DVD release. Cornel Wilde, Gene Wallace, Dan Duryea, Lee Grant, Dennis Weaver and Stephen Hill, Storm Fear. This one came out the same year as Gene Wallace and Cornel Wilde were in the big combo. And I think they just married at the time. A film noir from 1955 I know nothing about. 88 minutes long. It's in widescreen format. I'm inclined to watch this one soon because I like Cornel Wilde stuff. I like film noir, of course. So I'm going to watch that one. And again, it's one that I knew nothing about. Directed by Cornel Wilde as well. It may have been the first movie he directed. I'm not sure. For $3.33, that's a hell of a bargain. And I'm happy I've got it. Kino Lorber always produce good product. So I got that. Then I got a Universal movie from the 1940s in that wonderfully saturated 1940s Technicolor. The legendary tale comes to life in glorious Technicolor. Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, one of those Arabian Night adventures, starring Maria Montez, John Hall, and Turhan Bey. I've got a bunch of these Arabian Night adventures type movies. So I think I've got the imprint Tales of Adventure box set. One of them's got a lot of these in it. But I don't think it's got this one. If I'm wrong, I'll give this to somebody else. But I like these Technicolor Arabian Nights adventures because the Technicolor is always so wonderfully saturated and vivid. And the production design, the set designs are always wonderful. Maria Montez was always beautiful. Happy to have that one. And I will watch it. Then I found a Something Weird video. If you know what Something Weird videos are, it was this small releasing company out of Florida that snuck between the copyright rules. And at first they were releasing things on VHS. Then they moved on to DVD. Now they do Blu-ray. The guy who ran it unfortunately died a few years ago. But for decades, if you wanted a cult film, a weird little grindhouse cult film, chances are Something Weird video had it. And this one is an adult movie, not an X-rated one, but like an R-rated movie from the 1960s. It's Buck Rogers for adults, it says. Space Thing. Picked this one up, NTSC, never twice the same color. It only runs 70 minutes. And it says on the back, warning, this program contains nudity. It's good they told me that because I didn't want to be shocked. But Space Thing, I'm going to enjoy. It's one of those grindhouse movies. I've got a number of these. I've got Flesh Gordon, of course. I've got The Adventures of Alice in Wonderland, the X-rated version of that. It's very much in that style. A space science fiction spoof with lots of
Dusty substances
in it. Produced by Dave Friedman, so you know it's good. Again, $3.33. Then I got 3 movies on DVD that were video on demand. Basically, you ordered a movie and Warner Brothers would burn it for you onto a DVD-R. And Lee had 3 of them that I was interested in. One's a drama from the early 1960s, starring Troy Donahue, Claudette Colbert, Carl Malden, Dean Jagger, Connie Stevens, Di McBain, directed by Delmer Daves at the end of his career. A thing called Parish. It's about a coming-of-age kind of thing, but the supporting cast is so good I had to pick it up. I don't actually mind these ones. And even though Troy Donahue was always a bit of a low-energy actor in leading roles, or in any role for that matter, still, glad I picked that one up. I'm not going to find it anywhere else. It's not going to be released on 4K by anybody anytime soon. And then on to the Dr. Frankenfurter. I found an old Steve Reeves movie, directed by Umberto Lenzi of all people, who later went on to do Giallo and horror movies. Sandokan the Great, starring Steve Reeves, Genevieve Grad, Rick Battaglia, directed by Umberto Lenzi. So, kind of glad I got that. Don't know what the quality is, but it's out there. And again, $3.33. Gotta love that. The last one I got is a deep cut for fans of 1960s American television. And I know there are a few of you out there. It's a movie that Dan Rowan and Dick Martin did during the tenure of Laugh-In. I got a copy of The Maltese Bippy. Also stars Carol Lindley, Julie Newmar, Mildred Nabrick, Fritz Weaver, directed by Norman Panama, who did a whole bunch of movies in the 60s. This is a gloriously bad film, and I love it. I've got a poster for it. I've actually got a debut poster for this movie. Dan Rowan and Dick Martin, basically nightclub comics who made good with Laugh-In. The movie did no business at all. It was bad. It was considered bad at the time. It's considered bad now. But I like having it in the collection. I may well, do you want a review of it? Tell me if you want a review of The Maltese Bippy, because I will review that one for the channel if I get 10 people who say they want to see it. So while we're on the subject of bad movies, the movie itself that I went to see for Cinemaniacs was a George P. Cosmatos movie from 1986, starring Sylvester Stallone, called Cobra. There was a really nice introduction because there is an introductory essay and an introductory talk about the movie by Clem Bastow, and they did a great job of it, relating it to movies like Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive and Collateral. And the approach Clem took was that the movie is a Los Angeles driving film, and from that point of view, they talked about that movie in comparison to other movies, and there were some clips from the various films that were influenced by Cobra. Really great talk, and Clem has a great sense of humor, so I had a lot of fun with their talk, and really it added to the experience of watching this kind of prosaic Sylvester Stallone actioner from the 1980s. Now, the movie itself, Sylvester Stallone plays Marion Cobretti, who's part of the zombie squad of the Los Angeles police force, along with Rennie Santoni's character, who's the sidekick who gets injured during the movie. There's always one of those. Meanwhile, a fashion model, played by Sylvester Stallone's then wife, Brigitte Nielsen, doesn't know that she's seen a murder, but she's seen a murder, and she's seen one of the perpetrators, a guy who likes to cut people up, played by Brian Thompson. Now, what they don't know at the start of the film is that this isn't just a lone killer. This isn't a Zodiac kind of guy. This is a cult of neo-Darwinian terrorists who are going around killing weak people so that the strong can survive. Their philosophy is a little bit weird. So this fashion model, played by Brigitte Nielsen, and when I say played, I'm using the term very loosely. She's not great in this film. Maybe the breast implants Sylvester Stallone made her get was sore at the time. I don't know, but she wasn't great in the movie. Much better in Red Sonja. Cobretti and his sidekick are hiding her, not knowing that the other police officer that's working with them is a member of the cult and is tipping the cult off to where they are. So basically it's full of shooting and car chases and interesting locations and not very interesting characters. It's set along the beachfronts in Los Angeles partly, and also in Northern California. There's lots of pew-pew. The interesting thing I found out about the movie after I saw it is it was actually based on a script for Beverly Hills Cop that Sylvester Stallone wrote when he was attached to being the star of Beverly Hills Cop. The studio didn't like his script, and I understand why. It was pretty lame, to be honest. And then they decided to go with Eddie Murphy and to make a more comic tone to the movie. And so Sylvester Stallone rejigged that script, based it loosely on a novel that had been written a few years before, and put it out. Now, the production of the movie was very, very fraught. Things were getting delayed. They were behind schedule, and Stallone was pissed off by this until one of the guys who was working on the film came up to him and said, "The delays are caused by you and your trailer screwing Brigitte Nielsen and you showing off in front of the stuntmen." And so Stallone got his shit together for a while, and they got the film completed. He was, in the words of a famous Australian Prime Minister, struck at the time. It's such a low energy Sylvester Stallone role where he's trying to play it cool. He's got the mirrored shades on. He's driving his 1950 Mercury, which is actually Sylvester Stallone's car. He's got a new wife that he's spending a lot of time in the trailer with. The action scenes are good. The stunt work's fantastic. But the movie, as originally cut, was going to be almost an X rating because of the violence. So they had to do lots of chops to it to get it into an R rating in America because there was a lot of blood and guts that they cut out. And you can tell it's been cut out because just when you expect to see a squib and a blood spray or a little bit of gore and guts and decapitation, they cut away from it. You can tell the cuts are there to make the censorship classification. And that makes it a weird experience to watch. It's very funny in parts, and there were a lot of people in the audience laughing. But for me, it was a movie that I didn't really care for. I've seen better actioners at the time. And in fact, I made a little list of movies I want to talk about on this channel after I saw this movie that I think are better 1980s, 1990s action films than Cobra. It was good to see it with a group of people, caught up with a whole bunch of people, including Tony Mitchell, who runs the Imprint podcast. Good vibe, good day. Totally exhausted because the heat just enervated me. I went out on a couple of side missions. I went out for a pub lunch and got a nice Palmer and a pot of beer. I went down to Richmond to pick up some supplies and things. And not only was Chapel Street, the street outside the Astor, totally rammed with people who'd been to the Grand Prix and to the football, it was incredibly hot. By the time I got home, I was exhausted. But I was really happy, first off, with the people I met and networked with, and the people I already knew that I reconnected with, and the haul I got. Seeing Cobra was very much third or fourth tier of the events of the day from my point of view. But it was exhausting. It was hot all the way home. It was still 28 degrees when I got home at 10:30 at night. A great day, a good haul, and a mediocre action film, which I understand Clem's point of view about it being a Los Angeles road movie. But for me, it just didn't land, and that's okay. I went there as much as anything for the company and for the experience of seeing the movie with a group of people. Let me know what you think of Cobra, whether you think highly of it. I know a few people like it a lot, but for me, it just didn't land. I think the weakness in the characters lets it down, because a good action film, you've got to have protagonists you can really cheer for. And I don't know that Cobra does that. So thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member, by donating through YouTube, or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies. Next up, I've got the Wednesday video, and I may well watch some of these films for that. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'll figure something out. And then we have Science Fiction Saturday once more, and I've also sometime in the week got to do a video for the other channel, the travel channel, the wandering around channel. So until all of that happens, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies, pick up some bargain movies, and I'll catch you next time.